Welcome to the Wanting to Wealthy podcast, where we talk about all things money, money related, things you should have learned in high school and we didn't, and how it can relate to you and how you can respond and move forward as you learn more. As I always say, when we know better, we do better. My name is Ashley Hogan. I'm your host. This is episode 85, and I'm calling it Snap Response. Now, this is not a political post. I'm recording this November 2025, and it is very common knowledge in the United States that SNAP benefits have been stopped. There's a lot of different things happening in regards to that. My response is really about how we can come together as a community and make sure everyone is fed, and how you can respond to what's happening around you or to you if you're being directly affected by this. I have three categories. The first is if you have more than enough food. The second is if you have just enough food. And the third is if you do not have enough food. So, going through each of those categories, I'm going to talk about how you can respond to the situation that's happening to help your fellow community members. So, if you have more than enough food, some ideas I came up with is to first go through your pantry, your fridge, and your freezer and find anything that's going to expire in the next 2 months between now and the end of 2025, whenever you're listening to this. Once you've found those, offer these items in your local free exchange Facebook group. Most communities have some sort of gift exchange, free economy, something like that, where you can say, hey, this food is not expired yet, but it will be soon, and I'm not going to get to it. Can someone else use this? If you have kiddos, oftentimes around Thanksgiving and Christmas, public schools will do food drives. And so if your kid goes to public school, you can take any of the boxed food, the non-perishable items, and have the kids take them to the school as a donation. You could also take the food to local food banks, fish gleaners, and neighborhood pantries. Again, you have to use your judgment on what items you're bringing. If they are perishable items, it might be best to offer them within that free group, so you can take them to someone specifically, or check in with your local food bank or fish before, or gleaners before you take food there, to make sure that they are willing to accept perishable items. Another thing you can do, that's just minimizing within your own house, doesn't cost you a single thing beyond that. Another thing you could do is purchase extra food while you're shopping and then take it to one of those items, at one of those places. You can take cash to one of those places where they can go and purchase food for your community members. You could sponsor a family for a meal. Oftentimes this is again around the holidays, but I'm seeing more and more where people are stepping into their communities and saying, hey, I know this family doesn't have food, or this family has a birthday party coming up, and people are donating cakes, cupcakes, snacks, meals for the weekend, things of that nature. You could also contribute to meal trains. I see this come up on Facebook all the time, where people are going through something, whether somebody is in an illness, somebody just had a new baby, somebody has just passed away, and their family needs their community to rally, and they will post links to meal trains, and you can contribute a meal to that family. All of these things are just ways that you can simply share your gift of having more than enough food with those that don't. If you have just enough food, you really don't have the extra money to do the things that I've just talked about. The first thing I'm going to tell you to do is please go through your pantry, your fridge, and your freezer and find anything that's going to expire between now and the end of 2025. Very likely there's something in there that is going to expire that you just might not have even noticed had you not done this. Um, and then do one of the following things: offer them up in a local free exchange group on Facebook. Um, Fine, if you have kiddos, have them take the box food to school for the donations during the holidays. I uh, Even our local community college does a food drive like this during the holidays. Take them to a local food bank, fish gleaners, neighborhood food pantry, things like that. Um, Oftentimes, if we have it in our mind that we have just enough food, we're still also going out to eat or getting a fancy coffee or something like that. So I would suggest not doing those things. Tighten your belt a little bit and don't go out to eat. Don't get fancy coffee for the rest of the year. And then use that extra money to either purchase a little bit of extra food and donate it to a local food bank, fish gleaners, neighborhood pantry. If this is a financial issue for you, look for those places that are 501(c)(3) charitable organizations, so you can use the food or cash that you donate as a tax write-off for 2025. Um, if that's just not possible, that's totally fine. Look for places that need volunteers: soup kitchens, Meals on Wheels, food banks, gleaners. A lot of those places are getting lots of physical donations right now, and they need help organizing, or they need help uh, getting new shelves up so they can put the food, or they need help getting the food to the families. They might need help washing dishes if you're at a food kitchen, or taking out the trash, or wiping down tables. Any of those things to kind of move that process along and make sure that everyone, nobody's going to bed hungry. Another thing you can do that wouldn't cost a ton of money would be to create a neighborhood pantry in your front yard. This would allow your neighbors to both donate food and or donate cash to you to then go purchase food, um, or pick up food as they need it. This could be as simple as a Rubbermaid tote, an old cabinet, an open shelf. Be mindful that if you have an open shelf, especially if you're in the Pacific Northwest like I am, two things. One, that it is back into your porch enough to where it's not going to get wet. And two, that if you have critters around that would get into the non-sealed foods, so cats, dogs, possums, raccoons, mice and rats, things like that, that you put it in something that can be covered. But you don't have to build anything fancy for this. This could be an old storage cupboard um, that's in your garage that you've cleaned out and sanitized, and then put food in that. Rubbermaid totes. I know several people that are literally just posting that they have Rubbermaid totes to either put food into or take food out of as needed on their front porches, to make sure that their neighborhoods have food. Um, and that would not require you potentially to go buy food if that's not within your budget to do so. Last, if you do not have enough food, use your resources. Many local communities have food banks, soup kitchens, food box options, Meals on Wheels for older people, free lunches, and maybe breakfasts for kids at public school. I know when I was in elementary school, we got both breakfast and lunch. And so my mom always told us to make sure we got enough food. And then community food pantries. Your neighbors truly want to help you, and they're not judging you for using this resource. I know that with so many people having ring cams now, you could feel like you're almost being watched if somebody's left a community food pantry on their porch and then you're going up on their porch and getting food. They're truly, truly coming from a place of wanting to help, wanting to make sure that their neighbors are not going to bed hungry. And use the resources that you have available to you. Your community wants to help. If you're gifted something that your family can't or won't eat, you have a food restriction, food sensitivity, allergy, something like that, pass it on to somebody who can eat it. Don't let that food go to waste. So you can put it on a free community offer at page. What I've noticed with those pages is people are being pretty good about talking about what they need. What I'm also seeing is people are not being as good about communicating their transportation. So if you don't have the money to drive the food that you guys can't use to someone who can use it, and they don't have the money, gas money, transportation, whatever, to come get it from you, if you guys communicate that within the community page, likely someone else is going to see the post and want to help. What I have done a couple of times is I saw somebody who was in the town I live in, and I was driving to the next town over, and both the person from the town I live in and the person from the town over didn't really have the means or ability to drive to meet each other or to go to one of the other's houses. I was already going from my town to the next town over anyways, so I stopped by, grabbed the items, and then went and delivered them at the next town. I was already driving that. And I've seen this where many people will be like, "Hey, I'm on my way to work, or after work, I can pick this up and take this over here." And so it's not that hard of a reach, especially if someone's already making the trip, if they know that that's what you need. I didn't give food in that case. I didn't give the items in that case. I was simply the means of transportation in a place I was already going anyways. So if you are um, open with what you need, um, utilize those free community pages to make requests. I need meat. I need laundry detergent. I need kids' clothes. Um, I don't have transportation. I don't have fuel until the end of the week. If you're detailed in those things, people will often say, "Hey, I can take care of that for you." Because again, we want to help. We want to help our communities. So be detailed in your dietary restrictions, allergies, and sensitivities. So if you say, "I need meat," but you don't eat pork, and somebody offers you pork, that's not as helpful as "I need ground beef" or "I need chicken." Um, Mention if you can't drive someplace or you can't take public transportation, an approximate location. Don't give your address out to the internet, but being able to say, "Hey, I live in Southwest Albany," or "I live in Northeast Portland," then the person can go, "Oh, I'm going to be in Northeast Portland," and potentially help in that regard. And be okay knowing that your community members are doing this out of a passion to make sure that everybody has food. This has been, while this is a really crummy situation that's happening, I have seen a lot of communities pulling together to make sure everybody is fed. And it's really cool to watch as people are creating these food pantries outside their homes, are working in groups to make deliveries to people to make sure their community members are fed. It's really it's really nice to see that while there's a lot of things happening that can create divides between us, that there is also things happening that are bringing us together. So what ideas do you have that I did not cover? Specify kind of what group you're talking about. Also, what success stories do you have? Did you start a pantry? Have you donated food? Have you helped with transportation? Please share those on Instagram and tag me at Wanting to Wealthy, and then I'll repost them and spread the word about how we are helping our communities. Thank you so much for listening to the Wanting to Wealthy podcast.